Here is something nobody tells you about grief. Sometimes it does not just break you open. It rewires you so completely that the version of you who survives it barely recognizes the job, the schedule, or the ambition that came before. And honestly, looking back now, I think that was the whole point. For years, I was the person who measured life in spreadsheets, performance reviews, and quarterly targets, grinding through 60-hour weeks in a corporate finance role that paid well and meant almost nothing. I told myself the money was the mission, and I was very good at lying to myself. Then, in the span of about 6 months, I lost someone I loved deeply. And the grief did not arrive like a wave you ride out. It arrived like a demolition crew with a permit. Every priority I had carefully constructed got reduced to rubble. And what was left standing surprised me. The first thing I noticed was that I could not make myself care about the pipeline report anymore. Not even a little. And I kept waiting for the panic that never came. What came instead was this unsettling, clarifying, quiet, which grief researchers actually have a name for post-traumatic growth, where loss forces a brutal audit of how you are spending the one resource nobody gets back. I remember sitting in a performance review, nodding along while my manager praised my efficiency, and thinking, efficient at what exactly, and for whom? That was the pivot moment. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just a Tuesday afternoon where the math of my life stopped adding up. Within 4 months, I had given notice, burned through some savings, and enrolled in a counseling certification program that paid approximately 1/3 of my former salary to complete. My colleagues thought I was having a breakdown, and to be fair, grief and a breakdown can look nearly identical from the outside. Here is the part people always get wrong about career pivots born from grief. They assume the pivot is impulsive, emotional, and therefore suspect. But grief, when you actually sit with it, instead of burying it in productivity, is one of the most clarifying cognitive experiences a human being can have. The concrete changes were almost comical in their severity. I went from a corner office track to a caseload of clients in a nonprofit counseling center, from a calendar packed with status calls to 50-minute sessions where silence was sometimes the whole intervention. My income dropped, my sleep improved, and for the first time in a decade, I stopped dreaming about missing deadlines. Hours changed too, not fewer necessarily, but differently shaped, with boundaries that actually held because the work itself demanded that I model the boundaries I was teaching. There is a beautiful irony in the fact that grief, which felt like it stole time, actually gave me back a relationship with time that was honest. The long-term benefits compounded in ways I did not predict, the way any good investment does when you stop checking the ticker every 15 minutes. 5 years out, I have built a practice, published work on anticipatory grief, and helped people navigate the exact terrain that once leveled me, which turns out to be a remarkably efficient use of damage. Now, am I saying grief is a career strategy? Absolutely not. Please do not lose someone you love as a professional development exercise. What I am saying is that when loss strips away the noise, what you are left with is signal. And signal is the most valuable data you will ever receive about what you are actually supposed to be doing. The skeptics in the room are already thinking, sure, but what about financial security? What about trajectory? What about the resume gap? And those are fair, real, non-dramatic concerns that deserve a non-dramatic answer. You manage them the same way you manage any transition, with a runway, a plan, and the humility to accept that a pivot taken slowly is still a pivot. The deeper truth that grief taught me is that conviction about meaning outlasts motivation about money in every long race. And I've watched enough burned out high earners sit across from me in sessions to know that the math eventually comes for everyone. The only question is whether you choose the audit or wait for the audit to choose you. If you are sitting somewhere right now in a role that pays the bills and costs you something harder to name, I am not here to tell you to quit tomorrow. I am here to tell you that the discomfort you are feeling is data, and data deserves to be read rather than suppressed. Discipline in this context does not mean staying. It means being honest enough to ask the question and strategic enough to build toward the answer. Grief altered my career path, and I will spend the rest of my professional life grateful that it did. Not because loss is good, but because clarity, even when it arrives uninvited and devastating, is the rarest and most actionable gift. If you like this video, subscribe and check out all our other topics.